supported and enjoyed working with Sheriff Borders. And I tell you, since the Sandy Hook incident, our county sheriffs and the job that they do has come front and center with what's going on in D.C. with the infringement on our Second Amendment rights. And I'm very, very anxious to hear what Sheriff Borders has to say. So please, warmly welcome.
Well, good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
No.
All right. I don't like getting stuck behind the podium, and I want to make sure the band gets to be able to move that camera as I walk back and forth. But see, you did good. There you go. But thanks for having me this evening. It has been a while since I've been able to speak to this group. And while I was in the back, and driving here and all day today, I was thinking about, what I wanted to talk about. And there's so many things I want to talk about. I've got a big list. So how much time you got?
All time you need.
Actually, it won't take that long. I like to just kind of give you an overview of what we're doing at the Sheriff's Office, how the deputies are serving you on a daily basis, and then open it up to you for questions. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about me. I started in this business July the 1st of 1980, and I was only about 10 at that time. And I served my first 8.5 years in Osceola County. And then I came to Lake County January the 3rd of 1989, appointed by George Canuck as the jail administrator, and I've been here ever since. This is my home. I grew up in Kentucky. There you I pay people, actually. But I grew up in Kentucky, and my mom still lives on 85 acres up there, and I have never missed Christmas in Kentucky. I would be the first to tell you that I'm still scared of my mother. She don't care what I do for a living. So that's a little bit about me. I want to introduce also, I have a second in command. I have a chief deputy. He is standing in the back. His name is Peyton. And he's the guy that I get to blame stuff on, when we're having a bad day. But I would like to just tell you real briefly about him. Picking a number 2 guy is important in an agency. When I was appointed, I had honestly a lot of jail experience. I had a lot of experience overseeing hundreds of employees. But Peyton has a lot of experience in tactical. What I like most about him is he's a Lake County resident, lifelong, and he's a U.S. Marine. And I appreciate that. So it's nothing as that Marine comes out on a daily basis when he's looking at deputies' shoes, walking down the hall or something. But he's known to go inspect a patrol car occasionally, make sure it's clean. So we're honored to have him. The Sheriff's Office is a 700-member agency. We operate on about $50 million a year. Deputy sheriffs in this county respond to about 250,000 calls a year for service here in Lake County. And we process about 13,000 people a year through our county jail. And a couple of you actually look familiar. Just kidding. The jail, if you haven't been through it, is right here on Main Street in Tavares, and we actually encourage our citizens to take a tour of the jail, maybe in groups, and maybe this group would like to take a tour of the jail one evening. We think it's important for you to know what we do and how we spend your money. As honored as I am to serve you as the sheriff in this county, this agency belongs to you. It does not belong to me. You pay the bills, you're the taxpayer. So the other thing that we do is we do community meetings somewhere in this county every month. We're doing one tomorrow night somewhere. I'll be honest, I wake up, I go where my calendar tells me to go. But we do them every month to tell people what we do at the Sheriff's Office. We have a multitude of units, everything from patrol to drug investigations to cyber crime. So that's why I decide what I'm going to talk about. And one of the things that we have been focusing on this year is that we've seen a need to lower or try to lower problems in a couple of areas. One of them being traffic fatalities. And if you've been on our roadways, you notice that they're pretty busy, aren't they? And especially this time of year, we have a lot of visitors. We have a lot of people that live here 6 months out of the year, and so we see them a little more congested. Through the Florida Department of Transportation, we were able to get a drug driving enforcement grant money to put deputy sheriffs on the street to enforce drunk driving. I don't know the exact number, but I think since January we've 89.
A little higher than that, pushing 100 here.
About 100 DUI arrests since January. That's a lot of drunk drivers off the road. And you know, the one thing that we want to make sure of is when you're driving home that you're able to do that safely. So we've really been focusing on that to reduce traffic fatalities. Two of the drugs that we've had to focus on a lot over the last year or two, one of them being Meth Labs. And actually in 2010, this county led the state of Florida in the, I know that's not a good statistic to have. This county led the state of Florida in the number of meth labs that were busted. So, you know, I would tell you, but one of the reasons why I think that we led the state is that rather than just doing our job, we went into the communities and told folks, here's how you make a meth lab. Maybe not every ingredient, but we wanted them to know how if they thought their neighbor might be cooking meth. And I will tell you that the community involvement, and we can only do this with the community help, and everything that we do has been tremendous. So, you know, they call us and they say, hey, I think there's a meth lab next door to me. Our drug guys just simply go up and look around and smell, and kind of see what's going on, and if they think there is, we knock on the door. And most of the time, the homeowner will think we are there and that they know why we're there, and we end up dismantling meth labs and putting them in jail. But I always tell people two things to look for in a meth lab. If there's a strong ammonia smell next door at your neighbor's house, or maybe a strong cat urine type smell, you may have a meth lab next door. The other thing that I tell people is that if your neighbor has 4 propane tanks in their backyard and they don't own a grill, you may have a meth lab cooking next door. The one thing that we're seeing now is that they're going from cooking large pots of meth to cooking what we call a single pot of meth for individual use. They don't cook it to sell it, to be honest with you. We've never made a meth bust where we've seized $100,000 like we would for cocaine or maybe a large marijuana grow house. Meth users cook it to use it, and and what makes it so attractive is that they can buy all the ingredients out of Walmart, or maybe Walmart and Tractor Supply. You know, they can get all the ingredients. Now, one of the ingredients obviously is Sudafed, and if you've had to go to the pharmacy to buy Sudafed, you know that it's harder to get that than it is anything else, isn't it? They may ask for your driver's license, or they may tell you can only buy 2 packages. So what the meth guy will do is send 20 people out to buy that meth, or to buy that Sudafed from 20 different stores with a driver's license. So that's one of the things that we battle and on a regular basis. Last year we busted 60 or 6, I think it's 62 meth labs here in Lake County. Generally, we find them in rural areas, only because they don't want to draw attention. So we don't normally find them in a subdivision or maybe a close-knit community where houses aren't next or close to each other. Normally, we're in on acreage and places like that. So they know about that whole smell also. The other thing that we battle is prescription drug abuse. And oxycodone, OxyContin, sometimes people legitimately get addicted to that. Legitimately, you know, people that have serious back injuries or something of that nature. But we see widespread abuse throughout the county. So what we're doing, first of all, the state of Florida finally stepped up and put some laws in place to where we can monitor the number of prescriptions, and especially when it gets into doctor shopping where they're going from this doctor this day and this doctor. And one of the things that this county did was put a moratorium on pain clinics. I could show you pain clinics in another county where you could show up on a Saturday morning. First of all, if you weren't there early, you would be in a line outside the door and around the block. And if you had cash, enough cash, you could move to the front of the line. But they were actually, it was a cash only, for one. And you could get a prescription, and then you could go right around the corner and that same pain clinic owned a pharmacy. How convenient is that? And then they would be in line there, paying cash for narcotics. One of the things that we've done in this county through the Safe Climate Coalition is to put prescription drop-off boxes in every city police department and the sheriff's office in this county. We want you, if you have unwanted prescriptions, to bring those to us so we can destroy it. Because we see a lot of abuse that starts that way. Let me tell you that we see sometimes kids that will go in their grandparents' or their parents' medicine cabinet, take their pills. They take all these pills, put them in a baggie. They don't separate them. Put them in a baggie, and they will have a pill party where they literally reach into the bag, take them. How dangerous is that? How crazy is that? So we really encourage folks that once you're done with your prescriptions to drop them off either at one of our police departments or at the sheriff's office, and so we can destroy them. Because that's we surely don't want to see our kids getting addicted to that. The other thing that we're kind of battling is we're seeing an increase in identity thefts, obviously, with computers, and we're seeing an increase in scams for our seniors, that people are trying to get personal information and get use their credit cards. And we do have on our website an identity theft packet. If you're a victim of that you can fill out and come see us. We do want you to call us if you feel like somebody is trying to steal your identity. You know, I have a very trusting mother, and I believe, and she goes online, and I believe that if she got an email and the email said that it was her bank, and we needed to verify your account number, that she'd probably give it to them. She probably won't now because we have that talk quite a bit. But honestly, a lot of us come from a trusting generation, don't we? Where a handshake means something. or we take people's word. And so we see a lot of victims, and that's why we see the bad guy target a lot of our senior population, is because of that. We want people to realize that, you know, a legitimate company will not ask you for that personal information by email. And if you think it is legitimate, call them and ask them if they're doing it. They're not. So we really encourage people to take an extra step and make sure that what they're doing is to a legitimate company. How many of you, any of you got a call from somebody telling you that your grandson or granddaughter was in jail?
Emails.
But boy, this guy will help them get out. If you'll just meet them at Publix and give them a couple $100, they'll go right down to get them out of jail. And I will tell you that you know, I've been in the jail business a long time. We have a lot of reputable bondsmen that are not going to meet you, call you like that, and meet you on a street corner. They do things the right way. So don't fall for that. And of course, school security. We provide a deputy sheriff to every middle school and high school in this county. It's a partnership between the school board and the county commission, and on paper it looks like that the school board pays 50% and that the commission pays 50% of a starting deputy, I might add, both of them. But it's really not. You know, first of all, school's only in session 9 months or thereabouts. So really the school board pays about 50% of 9 months. And then the county picks up the rest. But we have, we're very fortunate in our school resource deputies in that we have a lot of senior type deputies that work in the schools and do a good job. You know, now the question is about elementaries. And, you know, one of the things that we've done since, you know, we put a deputy in the schools for the first few weeks after that unfortunate incident, Sandy Hook, and we still have increased our patrols. We drive through the areas a lot more. We're not in the elementary schools, but you know, it's definitely a conversation that's worth having about security in our schools. Not only putting a deputy sheriff or a police officer, because quite honestly there are 27 elementary schools in this county. Only about 12 of them are in the unincorporated area of the county. The rest of them fall within city police department jurisdictions throughout. So, but to not only talk about putting a law enforcement officer there, but we need to have discussions, you know, just about the overall safety of that area. Because I can show you schools, you know, that if somebody wanted to hurt a child, they could do it, you know, on a playground without ever going onto the school property. So, you know, what's the answer there? I don't have the answer, but I will tell you that it's a conversation worth having. There's nothing more important than making sure that our children are safe in schools. So, now I will tell you that some days we make more arrests in school than we do in patrol. But we have a lot of kids. And let me tell you that we have a lot of good kids. We have an awesome, a lot of great students in this county. Of course, unfortunately, you know, the only ones you read about a lot of times are the ones that make a mistake. So they're not the majority of what we actually serve. What's going on in the sheriff's office? You know, you see a new courthouse on Main Street there. It's not open yet. You know, two things when I ran my campaign that, well, two I'll talk about, but I didn't ask for the courthouse. And I actually at one event where they said that I asked for the parking garage. I didn't ask for that either. Quite honestly, if I was going to ask for all that, I would have asked for a new sheriff's office. The sheriff's office that we're in used to be the county jail and was built in 1962. So that's what I would have asked for. But we have a new courthouse that is ready to open. So, you know, we are looking at ways of how can we obviously do things cheaper. We're in the process of our budget now for the 2013-2014 year. By law, my budget is due to the county commission June 1st, and so we are working on that now. Two things that we're looking at, one for sure that we're doing, and then the other one we're probably going to do is we're going to outsource security at the front door of the new courthouse with a deputy sheriff present to save money. We're going to hire a contract with a private company to provide that service. The other thing that we're looking at, you know, you hear about a health care debate all the time, right? Well, when you add whatever we provide in-house at the jail, what you pay for inmates to go to the hospital, $3.5 million a year that you spend on inmate health care. So we're doing a couple things. First of all, you know, we're in constant communication with our hospital CEOs to try to get lower rates. But we're also bidding out to private health care companies that do nothing but inmate health care to see if we can do it cheaper or if they can do it cheaper. And I would tell you the preliminary looks close, but you know, but we see where they've gone into some counties and lowered hospital costs over the first couple of years, and really that's where a lot of our costs come in. Is that, you know, we'll spend $1.4 million maybe, and please don't quote me on the number, but somewhere around there it fluctuates on just the hospital cost alone when we go to the hospital. And we haven't even thrown in the 2 deputies that are going to sit in that hospital room 24 hours a day. That's no longer either staffing a pod in the jail or maybe even being on the road answering calls. So that's one of the things that we're looking at to cut our budget. Contrary to what you may have heard over the last year or so, again with campaigns, we have not given raises in the sheriff's office in 5 years. So we're actually going into our 5th year now. So I would tell you that I'm proud of the men and women in this agency that continue to step up and answer calls and do a good job for the citizens of this county. I think we're fortunate in the quality of deputy sheriffs that we have here. I haven't. That's something we have to address at some point. You know, is to make sure that we're retaining them and keeping good quality deputy sheriffs. We have passed along some insurance increases to them this past year, and of course, you know, the last couple of years, you know, they now pay into the Florida retirement, and I'm not debating that one way or the other. But if you've never done it, it's more money out of the pocket. So that's right. They look at the take home. That's exactly right. But I'm very fortunate. A lot of good men and women in this agency. We're also moving into a new Emergency Communications Operations Center, or ECOC. That almost sounds like a sickness, doesn't it? ECOC. But that is being built where that new courthouse is. It's over in the corner of that property. You will see the Sheriff's Office Communication Center and the Lake EMS Communication Center all in the same building. And in the county, we'll have an Emergency Operations Center in that building for when we have disasters or anything like that. It's obviously built for heavy winds, and so we're able to be there in case of an emergency in this county. The good thing about that building is I really like having sheriffs or law enforcement, fire, and EMS dispatch all under one roof. Currently, if you call 911 and you get my dispatcher, and of course they're going to ask you if it's police, fire, or ambulance that you need. And if you say ambulance, we're going to push a button and hope it goes to, and it does most of the time, but that it goes to EMS, and I think their dispatchers in Mount Dora, right? But we're really relying on technology in some of those things. That's the one good thing I do like about the new building is everybody being under one roof, that we can ensure that we're getting that call to EMS or to the fire department or to a deputy sheriff or police officer immediately, so that we can start getting somebody on the way to help you. Let's see what else. Did you know that we do not house our own juveniles? Juveniles that get arrested in this county are transported by deputy sheriffs to the Juvenile Detention Center in Marion County. That's always been that way. It's run by DJJ. They do a good job. But they have about 100 beds up there to service 5 counties. What you may not know, and what a lot of folks don't know, is that the Lake County Board of County Commissioners sends DJJ a check for somewhere between $750,000 to $1 million every year to house those juveniles. We're in a time in our jail where our population numbers are down, so we're looking at why should we house them? Why not keep them here? They're obviously juveniles fall under some different rules, so we're simply in the study stage of that now. Marion County did. The Marion County Sheriff, and that's where the juvenile place is at. But he does house his own juveniles now, as well as Polk County, I believe, has started doing it. They changed the law this past year to give the sheriffs a little more flexibility if they want to decide to house them. We obviously look at it for a couple. First of all, we arrested them. So should we house them? And of course, the other thing is simply the cost. If it's going to cost us $3 million to do it, then we'll just keep sending them to Marion County. But I don't think that's going to be the case. But we're in the middle of a study right now to determine what we're going to do there.
Sheriff, if I could add just one thing to that. The sheriff talked about a 100-bed facility that services 5 counties. It's full. So what they do is they loosen the qualifications for juveniles to be, or should I say they decrease the structure there or what that charge would be, so they'll keep them overnight. So basically, they're on a point system to make it, to be quite honest with you. And the higher they score, the more likely they are to stay in a facility. Literally, we have juveniles now that can steal your car, sir, tonight, and be out, released back to their parents before the deputy completes the paperwork, because the facility's full. And what the sheriff's wanting to do is hold these juveniles accountable that are creating these crimes, so they have to answer for what they did. And it doesn't take long for the juveniles to know that. I'll get slapped on the hand and I'm right back out. And it's just the way the system is. With a 100-bed facility servicing 5 counties, it's pretty much full all the time. So the only ones that are actually going to spend the night behind bars are the ones that are doing something very, very, very serious.
Yes.
That 750 to $1 million, is that part of your budget?
No.
So you're looking to get it part of your budget?
Well, if I can do it cheaper, then, I mean, at the end of the day, it's 1.5. You know, we look to say, it's, you know, kind of like inmate medical. I don't pay the hospital bills either. But if I can outsource that to where the county is paying less for hospitals, then you know, that's the money savings overall. Yes. I would like to open it up to questions. You know, I know that the chief has passed out the proclamation at the Florida Sheriff's Association. If you don't know, you know, I belong to the Florida Sheriff's Association, and I'm actually on the board of directors. I represent District 3, along with 2 other sheriffs, Sheriff Demings and Sheriff Hansel in Osceola County. And that district actually encompasses probably about 11 counties or 12. But you know, it was a unanimous vote from all the sheriffs when we were at the winter conference to make sure that we are protecting the Second Amendment and that we are making sure that, you know, when I get sworn in, and when I swear a deputy sheriff in, you know, it's really pretty simple. I, Gary Board, solemnly swear to support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida. First line. I take that seriously. And that's what I will do for you. My job is to make sure that you're protected. Yes, sir.
You mentioned a hypothetical situation where you have an emergency.
Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, considering Hurricane Katrina and the emergency that happened down there, we could have a hurricane anytime. If we did have an state of emergency here, would you comply if the federal government came to you and asked you or told you to confiscate the weapons in this county?
So, I mean, as it stands today, and I don't see the Constitution changing, that would be against the United States Constitution. So I would protect the Constitution. I would protect it.
I have 2 inquiries, really. Well, the question, one's an inquiry and one is a concern. The first concern, has the protocol changed about knocking on the doors late at night?
Let me answer that, and probably not an answer that will make you happy. You know, and I know what you're referring to, and since we have been served as a federal lawsuit there, I can't talk about that case.
I'm not asking you to talk about that. I'm talking about the protocol of knocking on the door.
Here, let me tell you know, let me try to answer that where we're not talking about that. If we're knocking on someone's door and we're not going to enter that residence or that office, or then we can do that without announcing who we are, as does any law enforcement agency. But that is a case that is under a lawsuit, and I can't really.
Okay, I don't want you to go there. I didn't want to bring in that information in because it's just what is. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
All right, the second one is for information. I've read several times where the DARE program could conceivably be doing more harm to young people than good, because they're introducing them to concepts of use of drugs that they've never occurred to them.
I've never had anybody ask me that. I've never had anybody say that to me, and I'll be glad
Wait,
to.
the question, you, yeah, we didn't hear it.
That the DARE program, which is the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program we teach our fifth graders, does more harm than good because we're introducing to these kids different types of drugs that they've never heard of.
Our uses, our availability, and so this was just a study. It was not something that's absolute. I would not say it was absolute. That's why I asked the question of inquiry.
For the most part, they felt like the DARE program was really effective. It really did. But there was just this little wrinkle here that they were kind of worried about.
I find, you know, we do teach DARE in all of our elementary schools to the fifth grade. There's a couple things that I find really positive about it, is that we teach not only about drug abuse or alcohol abuse, we teach peer pressure. We teach a child what to do in a situation and how to walk away from it. I think that's important. We teach our children in the schools that the deputy sheriff is a good guy. We like that interaction with our children. That's why I think we've been so successful in our middle schools and our high schools is giving kids the opportunity to build a relationship with somebody that they can go to in troubled times. So I would tell you that the DARE program, I think, and we had 6 DARE deputies. I think probably the youngest one probably has 15 years experience as a law enforcement officer.
This has nothing to do with their performance or how good it is. It's just something that just appeared there, and I would ask about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I came across an article today about the proclamation by the Sheriff's Association that you mentioned.
Yes, sir.
And what it says is a statement from the state association does not necessarily mean that every sheriff in the state supports it. One such case is in Florida. And your name's not on it. It's up to today. As
My name's not on as far as what?
Pardon me?
My name's not on as far as what?
Approving this.
What do you read?
Hmm?
I mean, where are you reading that?
It's a site that comes with this. And there's only like eight sheriffs in the state that have actually said yes.
You will go back and look at the additional articles on that website, which have nothing to do with Florida Sheriff's Association. You'll see that the other 61 sheriffs have agreed.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't pass that out, but it's important.
I know. I'm just saying.
Well, and trust me, I know Sheriff Matt and Sheriff Joe. I'm familiar with them, and I know they have websites and such. And is there a possibility that my name's on? Maybe. I don't know. Right. 61 sheriffs were not on what you're talking about. But I can tell you that I take my oath seriously. I would not tell you otherwise. But it'd be interesting to see what website that is. It's hard to keep up sometimes, to be honest, on a lot of the websites that are looking for you to sign up and support. We do try to keep up, to be honest with you, because we do want our people to know, our citizens to know. If you go to our website, you'll find that proclamation on our website. But I'm going to find out about that. Now, Sheriff Hansel and Osceola are taking my name off just to make him look good. Question? Yes.
I have a couple of questions. I'm in the healthcare profession, so I'm sort of curious about the stuff that you provided. And thanks for all the information. It's very good, by the way. Something to think about with the healthcare situation. I'm in the hospitals all the time. I'm a nurse, but now I'm selling to hospitals are my customers. So I always get a kick out of when we think about trying to ask hospitals to cut back on reimbursement.
Sure.
Because it's a tough cycle all the way around. But I see your deputies a lot in my patient population that I have to visit, and I'm just curious, when you assign those deputies, is there different pay ranks, and have you thought about structuring, like, I hate to say it, but like the lower paid ones there, so you're not spending as much money with the patients in the hospital? I mean, is that something that you guys have considered, or is everyone sort
Well, there's
Or
a
the
lot of
200
there's a lot of them at the same pay rank, in that everybody that we've hired and everybody that's worked here for 5 years is making the same money. But that's a good question. You know, one of the things that we do as leaders in the agency is manage our budget. So whether it's a hospital or whether it's simply maybe a high-profile murder trial, courthouse where we have to have overtime deputies, we look for lower-paid deputies. You know, doesn't mean you're a less qualified deputy. You're probably a newer deputy. But yeah, we do look at the pay rate. Like, we don't allow sergeants to work it for a buck, you know, because obviously they make more as a supervisor. And the only time they're allowed to work is if we actually have something going on where there's nobody else available.
I have a couple other questions related to that, just to probe some thoughts if you guys haven't thought about it. I'm curious if you know the payer rate that you guys are paying the hospitals for their services. For example, that's a very important mix for hospitals for revenue. So I wonder what payer rate do the inmates actually get? Is it a Medicaid rate? Is it a private insurance? Is it a government rate? Or is it a per diem rate where you're getting top dollar? I mean, that's something to think about.
Oh, I know. Can we tell you what it is?
Yeah.
We pay 30% of bill charges. 30%. It's hot.
And that's taxpayer money that's paying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in our discussions that we've had over the last few weeks with Waterman, and we were in Eastburg Regional with the CDO last Friday, and we're looking for Medicare rates, Medicaid rates, even a percentage of Medicare, which is similar to what, you know, maybe, you know, that Blue Cross has negotiated with. I'd take that.
Right.
Because it would be a reduction in cost. And let me give some kudos to the chair of the county commission, Commissioner Campione. She has gone with me to those meetings and actually has scheduled a couple of those meetings to look at trying to get some of those rates so that we can reduce that cost.
Well, I find that very interesting because just like you said, these people that are coming in were citizens on the outside at one time. So they either had some kind of payer source, and now it's getting dumped on us, citizens of Lake County, and or if they're not a payer source, with Obamacare coming in the fall, you know, everyone's supposed to pay a certain fee, whether we like it or not. If you don't have health insurance, you're supposed to pay a certain fee. So I'm just wondering if there's ways that we can negotiate.
Well, the MCC is going to pay for that, isn't it?
Well, I know.
Think about that. I mean, I have 900 prisoners, and I'm one county. Think about those falling under the government paid health insurance, right? But one thing we do also, and, you know, unfortunately it's a small number, is that when anybody gets arrested, if they stay in our custody, we do look and see if they have medical insurance. And so if they have an issue in the jail medically, we will bill their insurance. But it's a small number, to be honest with you. One of the things that we did several years ago to reduce some of our costs was, you know, we make inmates pay $10 to see the doctor that comes to the jail, or $10 to have a tooth pulled, and $5 for a prescription. You know, and if they don't have the money, we actually start a negative balance on their account in the jail. When they get out, go back on the street and come back with $500 in their pocket because they're a drug dealer. We take that negative balance to help offset some of those costs. They're not big dollars, to be honest, but every little bit helps.
And the last question I had is, what's the average cost to keep these inmates in daily? What's the daily cost?
It's about $55 a day.
Per inmate. And how many inmates do you have?
It's about 900. It's actually, it might even be in the 850 range today. It's been kind of fluctuating back and forth. But on top of that, it is a 960-bed facility, so we're not overcrowded. I will say that one thing this county did 20 years ago is they built big, and so that's been a good thing. We haven't built one addition in 21 years, We moved into it June 18th of '92.
I like your juvenile, I think that's a good thing to look into from a cost perspective.
I would agree.
Would you have the ability to make a move, because you can't do money with general population?
That's right.
Or is it going to be money up front, which is also fine if it pays for itself. But we're finding, or I'm seeing it in Orange County where I work, the juvenile crime rate is going up, and I think it has a lot to do with they get them involved with the bigger crimes because they know that their penalties, you know, they make them the bad guys because the penalties for them is less. So we're seeing an increase in that. And how much is that? It's going to be a part of your study. I mean, are they going to also say, but if it increases by this much, you know, this,
absolutely.
You know, eventually.
It has to be part of that study
It does.
because, you know, it's kind of what the chief said earlier. As we've seen those populations become overcrowded, we've seen the point system to be able to detain a juvenile become larger or more local. You know, here's where the differences are. When I was growing up, if I would have got in trouble with the law, I would have rather gone to jail than call my parents. As I'm sure most of you. It's not like that as much today. It doesn't. It's not like that as much today. And so, you're right. That's part of that study. And you know, if somebody steals your car today, Margie, they need to spend my jail. Or two.
Well, and
you know, if you're an adult, you're going to have to pay $5,000 to get out.
And that's the biggest problem. I mean, you have no consequences, which is why
Maybe that.
well, which is why we think what we're seeing is, you know, they'll you know, give a little bit of money to the 16-year-old to go and do it, because then when they get caught, they get shot in the hand.
That's right. No, that's right.
And the other guy benefits, however.
That's right.
So that's why we passed.
I would agree that has to be part of that overall. And I would tell you, there's some juveniles that can tell you exactly today that if they got arrested, what their punishment will be in the juvenile justice system. And so they simply have, they weigh what's the risk and what's it worth. Yes, sir.
You know, Sheriff, I'm a little buzzed by a comment that you made, that you have to negotiate with local hospitals to get a reduced rate when every taxpayer in this room is being double dipped because we pay on property tax for the hospital, and then on top of that, we pay top dollar for the prisoners to go in and visit them. As I've been visited with these hospitals, that really grabs me where you don't even want to think about it.
Well, you know, as I said earlier, you know, the way that medical, and you know, jails by state law in Florida are the responsibility of the county commission. The sheriff doesn't have to even run the jail in Florida. I think the sheriff should run the jail, as we do here. But in some counties, Orange County, the county runs it, and Osceola County runs it, Seminole County, the sheriff runs it. But it's a partnership. And so what we do in inmate medical is I pay, in my budget, I pay for everything in-house, which is the lion's share because that's your 24-hour nursing that I have in the building right now. And that's, 900 people. You know, town of Howard Hill's only got 1,000.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's like a small city. But 24-hour nursing, I pay for the doctor that comes in every day. The dentist that comes in once a week, the psychiatrist that comes in twice a week, and anything else that we do in-house. We do kidney dialysis. We do x-rays. I mean, we have everything. You know, realize that most of the people that I house probably were not going to the doctor every year getting physical. Yeah. And so when they get there, now they have all these problems. And so you see what's cost. So, but anyway, I guess to answer your question, the county pays everything that goes outside. Hospital, specialists, prescriptions, MRIs, those things. So what you just said, I think Mr. Campione has those same feelings.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And so as on behalf of the commission, she's been involved in that where we can look and see if we can get some better rates or work on it.
The reason for that tax was indigent care. How much more indigent can you get?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to the
No, I'm just bringing up, when you go into those negotiations,
Throw it out there.
You do pay a hospital tax for indigent care.
And those hospitals are tax-exempt entities.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I've worked.
Okay, next.
I worked for EMS for a long time, and you have nurses and you have doctors and you have the ability to potentially hire an ARNP, a nurse practitioner, or a physician's assistant in your facility for a 24-hour basis, which could potentially eliminate a massive amount of people going to the emergency room. In my personal experience alone, I have transported hundreds of people that never even needed to step foot through those doors of that hospital.
That's right.
To accumulate that bill.
I would agree.
For multiple reasons. A, because apparently everybody gets chest pain when they go to get arrested. It's things like that, but they could be triaged basically at the jail versus, going straight to the ER.
Well, I think they are now. I mean, I think one of the things that we changed over the last 2 or 3 years is that we actually put a nursing station in our booking department. Triage to the best of our, the nurses. Here's the thing. The nurse that's assigned to the jail, that's a big call. When that 22-year-old kid is saying he's having chest pains, he's probably not.
No, but there's always
No, there's always the potential that there are, but that's what I'm saying, is hiring a nurse practitioner who is like a medium.
We have one nurse. We have one nurse practitioner.
Or, a physician's assistant, somebody along those lines that has the capability of saying, yes, this person is having an MI, or no, this person's just full of, whatever.
I think if you looked, I think you'd see that the numbers have decreased. I think we have tried to triage a little better. We do have, in our doctor contract, we contract with a local doctor. There's an on-call in that contract where he has to be available one of our nurses to talk to. People like to sue jails.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that, and of course, those employees, those nurses are, they work for you also, and I think they look out for the overall, the big picture, and they're going to err on the side of caution. But the other thing you have to consider in this business and the type of, the people that we deal with that haven't taken care of their health is that he may be having a heart attack because he's been on meth for 10 days.
And you're right, you're absolutely right. But I'm talking like the little stitches, or the little bump on the head, or the finger break, or things like that.
I would agree. Yes, sir.
Actually, I wanted to change the subject, but all of a sudden I realized there's something else here. The dentist cost that we have to pay out, I need like maybe 2 extractions. That is going to cost me $500 here. If I go back to Kentucky, it will cost me $200. So, I know that there's a lot more than that. $10 has to be involved in that.
If you want to know what we pay for the dentist who comes on site, we have our own equipment, $60 per tooth.
So if you get arrested,
When can we come by?
Calm down. That's what we pay you, and what we say is that for $10 we'll pull any tooth. For $100 we'll pull the tooth that hurts. I'm just kidding. Man, you got that. I'm just kidding, right?
And then to the other I'm familiar with schools in Ohio and Kentucky, and now here I come down here as a snowbird, and I can't even shoot baskets because there are fences around all the schools.
It's different.
Yes. And I've never seen that before in most places. But the other thing is the controversy about teachers and concealed carry. I understand in Ohio and Kentucky, a lot of teachers are applying for concealed carry. Now, whether they could ever do that is a whole other story. But is there much conversation about that here?
It is a conversation, and I think it's a conversation that, you know, there's nothing good out of that tragedy in Connecticut. You know, I mean, a lot of children lost their lives, a lot of families devastated. But we did start having some discussions. Currently in Florida, it's against the law for a teacher to have a weapon on anybody besides a law enforcement officer to have a weapon on campus. So that if they want to start allowing that, they're going to have to start there, and that is changing the law before you start even having the larger discussion. You know, I can argue a lot of things differently about that. I can tell you obviously there's pros as far as maybe somebody on campus being armed. I can tell you there's a lot of cons to it. There's a lot of things to consider before that decision is made as well.
Thank you.
I have 2 boys, and my 11-year-old did the DARE program. He was proud. He came home with a shirt.
Good.
Okay, but my 14-year-old, do you have a Scared Straight program?
We did. We did.
Because I was born and raised in Palm Beach County, and we had a neat Scared Straight program. And high school did have the fence around it, and we had the police, and they had the dogs walking the dolls, and it was years ago. And that's why I thought it's so maybe area up here. But yeah, I'm trying to find. He's not an at-risk teen or anything, but I just want to shake him up a little bit. See.
We do a couple things with Scared Straight, and we've actually been on A&E's Beyond Scared Straight program. We can do that. We do a group once a month for Scared Straight, and I can get you some information. We will also do a one-on-one for you. If you want to bring your son in, I will put him with a detention deputy that scares most people, and have a one-on-one. And we take them to the cell blocks. We'll put an inmate in front of them that was just like your son when he was 14, maybe hard-headed or thought he could get away with everything.
Well, it's just the friends and he's at this middle school. And do they take? Because I've never seen anything from the schools for the.
They don't do it. It's actually through our teen court program.
But there's it would be nice to know, at least like when they send out all their flyers, to have some way for you guys to get in there, and like you have DARE for the 5th graders. It'd be nice if you went into the middle and high schools and sent these home, at least to the parents, email them or somehow mail them out and say, by the way, if you have a kid that you would just love to send to our program, because I would volunteer to pick kids up. Because I think it's a great idea.
I would be honest, we don't do that. We don't advertise that as much, but it is a service that we provide, and I'll make sure you have a card before you
I
leave
think
tonight.
it would get a lot of stuff in the budget before, especially middle school.
One of the other things that we do with those kids, because just because a child is in a fight with another boy over a girl in school, that doesn't mean he has to go to jail. It doesn't mean he needs to go to jail and have something on his record. So through teen court, we have a program called WILA, W-I-L-A, WILA, Work in Lieu of Arrest. We issue these citations in our schools all the time, and it's actually probably worse than going to jail. If you're a first-time offender on a misdemeanor like a fight or something of that nature, something minor, parents come, pick up their child, they sign the citation, child signs the citation. Is it 3 or 5 Saturdays? 4. Well, I was close. 4 straight Saturdays. Their parents have to bring them to the jail. They're loaded on a jail bus. They're taking them to my work farm. and they're made to work, or it may be another governmental agency or a park in this county, and they have to go there. They can't talk. They have to work for 4 hours. They're put back on the bus. They take it home, and they have to do that 4 weeks. If they do it successfully, no record, no
But
charges.
do they have to be an at-risk teen, or can they just be a kid that...
Now, these are the ones that actually commit a unlawful.
Right.
Yeah. But we can take care of it.
Senator,
So you had a question?
I know the court's probably ruled on this, you know, like you were addressing the juveniles, and you no longer sit and get that paperwork done and get them to Marion County, and they probably release sometimes. This has to cost the county an inordinate amount of money for what happens. The deputy taking them there, the filling all the time, fill out the paperwork. Is there no way to reverse back a cost on that to the parent or to the child?
And they may. I'm not involved.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest with you. They may, in the court system, pass on some of those costs back to the parent. That's something that I would have to check on.
But if it's costing your budget so much money for a deputy.
I don't get it.
Well,
I mean, I don't get it if
I
we're
mean,
paying
you
it.
fill all the paperwork out, and if your deputy takes them up there, then whose expense is that?
Well, here, the good thing about it is that if that juvenile's not going to be held in that juvenile detention facility in Marion County, they never leave our jail. They make that decision on the phone. So that we don't take them up there and they're turned out. They never go there.
Okay, are they then released in like a week or 2 weeks?
No, that's it. Right now.
No, I mean.
Oh, if they go up there, it depends on the charges, to be honest. You know, sometimes we get them, you know, where we have one in our booking facility right here in Tavares, and DJJ Juvenile Justice says they don't qualify, they don't need, they can't bring them up, and then we call the parents, and guess what? They don't want them. Now what do you do?
Well, talk them apart. Send the parents.
I mean, we face that sometimes, and so we, you know, we go to we send it, and now we're sending deputy to the home with the parents to kind of, you know, sometimes, you know, to tell them what their lawful and legal obligations are as well. But it does happen.
We appreciate you guys
Well, thank you.
and all that you do.
Are you going to have another Citizens Academy, Sheriff Citizens Academy plan?
We should, we're going to paint, you know, in our next Citizens Academy.
No, sir, I don't, but I can find out
My
and
wife
get
and I
to,
took one that year ago, it's fantastic.
In the Citizens Academy that he's talking about is 13 weeks, 1 day a week. You get to spend, every week is one part of the sheriff's office. You'll have everything from our counsel, our lawyer coming in to speak to you, to our SWAT team. You'll spend the evening on the gun range. You'll be on the driving pad to learn how deputies are taught about pursuit driving. We're not going to let you do pursuit driving. You go through the jail tour, and then you get to actually do a ride-along with the deputy sheriff on one of their shifts to see what they do on a regular basis. It's called Citizens Academy. Yes? I'm sorry.
No problem. Perhaps I'm a little paranoid, but it seems to me that throughout the country we're starting to see certain aspects of society demonize tools. What I mean is a gun is a tool. Okay? When a child does something like that and gets expelled from school or bites a Pop-Tart in the shape of a gun and gets expelled from school, I think it just shows that they're trying to put fear of a weapon or fear of a tool in this child's mind. And I guess my question for you is, what is Lake County's position, the Sheriff's Office position, on a call to an elementary school where a child has done something like that?
I'd be asking him why he didn't finish eating the Pop-Tart. I've read that article, and honestly, I actually watched it a couple times because I really just knew that I was seeing something wrong. There's got to be, you've heard common sense isn't so common anymore. There's got to, the only thing I can think is there's got to be something that they're leaving out, but, you know, surely you discipline a child because the Pop-Tart is in a shape of what some may consider a gun. I mean, I personally would.
Well, another incident was a kid went bang like that.
With his
You know, it's just.
Playing cops and robbers,
it's
like we
nonsense.
used to do.
You know,
And look how you can.
Yeah.
people are scared. You know, the last thing we want is another, you know, shooting in any school. But I think, you know, I think our educational leaders, I think our law enforcement, we as a community, sometimes I think we need to step back and take a deep breath and look at the big picture. You know, that case that you're talking about, to expel a kid over that, kind of blows my mind.
That's zero tolerance in a lot of places now.
It is a zero tolerance, you know, and we see it with, you know, honestly, the mom throwing a butter knife into the lunchbox because whatever she gave her son for lunch that day not requiring it. Now, it's not allowed on school property, but it doesn't mean he's taken to jail for it.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that I think we just have to look at on an individual basis in those kind of cases. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm under the Constitution of the United States of the right to bear an arm. And as you as the sheriff are the main officer, power of this county, the highest. And for a guy like me, do you have to have a permit when you're practicing your right under the Constitution that you took an oath to uphold? Or do I got to go and get a permit that they can take back from me whenever they want to? Or can I just exercise that? And so, you know, I'm 74, and I get a little worried now, you know, getting older and places like walking out that door. And I get a little scared, you know, with my wife, and it's just a great feeling. But it's a scary feeling to me if I got that in my pocket and I'm going to get arrested. And I've been arrested for this, and until I found out the purpose, or where I'm protected under the Constitution, I'd exercise. I want to know in your county how you feel about that.
Well, if you have that in your pocket or on you concealed in Florida, you have to have concealed weapons.
In other words, you have to wear it out?
Open carry is not allowed.
But you can have it in your car.
But yes, you can have it. You can have a weapon in your vehicle that is in a lock. I don't know if you can have. It has to be a closed.
Securely encased is what the statute calls for.
Securely encased.
And that's without a permit.
It could be in a console. It could be in a glove compartment. But it can't be. But it can't be under your seat.
Can it be loaded?
Yes.
But you need a permit.
No, ma'am. Not to carry a weapon in your car, you do not have to have a permit. But you can't tuck it between the seats. I heard somebody say I better do that. The center console that has a lid is considered securely.
If I may, just so you'll have a flavor of what the deputies have to interpret when they come into contact with this, okay? Florida State statute. Securely encased means in a glove compartment, whether or not locked, snapped in a holster, in a gun case, whether or not locked, in a zippered gun case, or in a closed box or container which requires a lid or cover to be opened for access. There you go.
So you can't put it in the center.
It's underneath my,
Make sure you make it clear.
You can have a weapon in your home without a permit.
I wanted to upgrade my concealed carry permit up here in Leesburg, but I've got this beautiful SW 38 that I've had for a year plus. I've never shot it, and I can't find bullets.
Walmart has them.
They never had.
They never had them.
Walmart never had. Walmart's out.
As soon as ammunition right now is hitting the shelves at Walmart, we face the same issue.
Really? Ooh, I wanted.
Shoot straight.
And we're paying more. I mean, it's expensive. But yes, it's. They got us about some ammunition. My favorite gun was a 38 hammerless full revolver. It's one of my favorite guns. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have kind of hypothetical reveal a scenario. First, I was going to ask, is there any precedent for you having to enforce the Second Amendment in Lake County, attempted confiscation of guns under federal recent law?
Have we faced that?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. So what if this happens in the future? A small arms treaty is passed. Turns out that certain ammunition is forbidden to be kept in your home under that, and somebody has a receipt from Walmart that proves they bought some of this ammunition, say, a year ago. Somebody comes to your door, a team from Homeland Security, they say, we have to confiscate this from you. Do we call your office, or what's the process from that point?
You can always call our office.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, we are here to protect life and property. First of all, you know, for someone to come into your home or to take anything out of your home, search warrants, or, you know, you're protected there. So if that happens to you, please call our office, and we'll be right out there.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Tell them that you can use the ammo in practice over here.
What ammo?
Yeah.
Right, there you go.
Well, recently, a few things. First, I read this book, Government Bullies by Rand Paul. Scared the hell out of you. And where federal officials come, like EPA and stuff like that, confiscate people's property because they move dirt from one side of the property to the other. It's a must-read for everybody. But also today I heard a lady on the radio talking about a woman, the county she lived in, and I don't know where it was the tax assessor, the property appraiser, was going around appraising everybody's property because they want more taxes. So they want to boost up all the appraisals. And they wanted in her house, and she refused. She said, you don't have a warrant, you can't come in my house. So she went to a town meeting, started reading them the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution, and they called the deputies to come take her, charged her with disturbing the peace and several other things. While she was in jail, they went and entered her house. Now, those are the kind of things, not just the gun part of it, that I want to make sure I can call your office, and you and all your buddies will come down and send those EPA guys or whatever packing.
We will.
Good.
I see today the changing times with the youth, and it's more involved in violence and movies and TVs and games. We grew up, we did a lot of things.
And then we're going to talk about that.
We had a lot of respect for the laws and our parents. And one of the things that I remember to this date quite well is my father taking me aside one day and saying, if you ever get in serious trouble and you are guilty, I'm going to get a lawyer, and I'm going to take you to court, and I'm going to take the last name away from you. You're not worthy to have that family name.
Wow.
What I'm saying is, I'm thinking if when you deal with these youthful offenders, that you let them know something about what it is going to do to their last name for the rest of their lives if they choose to continue down that path. That may mean more to them than a little slap they get on the hand and come back again, put another little slap on the hand, because there's nothing embedded that means something to them. And the value of that last name, you can't replace it with money.
I would agree with you. You know, it is different today, and you know, one of the differences are that, you know, when I grew up, you know, both my parents didn't have to work. You know, and one was able to stay home, and so I think that's a little bit of it, but you know, I don't know what the answer is there. You know, I have one son, and I raised him the way that my parents raised me, and he's a good kid. He never has gotten in any trouble. So I mean, I would think that just.
Well, I heard a lot of laughter when I said what my father had told me. And the reason why he told it to me, because I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And at 18, we could go to Staten Island and he took one. I was designated driver, and the rules were, I wanted the first stop, pizza and 1 beer, and I would drive the rest of the night. No problems in the car going across the bridge because they were there watching us. Right. No beverages in the car. We had one of the largest General Motors plants in Linden, New Jersey. We used to drag race. It was marked for a quarter mile behind that plant because it was just an L shape that wasn't traveled. We never got in any trouble. The police knew what we were doing back there. We had groups of them. We hot rodded. We took our dates home by 9 o'clock and we went cruising. We never got in any trouble. Nobody did, because we were brought up a little differently to respect the family and the name of the family. And I think maybe that's what's missing today. And maybe if you can find a way to get that to them on the first offense, then maybe we will have fewer problems down the road.
I don't disagree with anything you said.
Should we let Sheriff Waters and Deputy Payton go home tonight?
Wait, man,
We got one question here, by the
In California, they are more aggressive in passing laws and gun control, and they're starting to identify people that they claim should not have a gun, including mental unfitness and so forth. And so they're going into homes and they're taking guns. And I can't remember whether it was county or it was a state level people or even the federal, but is there anything like that coming here that you see in Florida? Even these letters that supposedly are being sent out to veterans saying you've got to register with us and you can't have a gun, that sort of thing.
I don't see that. I don't see that here in Florida. I don't see the state going in that direction. You know, I fortunately, sitting on the board of directors for the Sheriff Association, I get to sit in a lot of those meetings, and you know, I think we have some good conservative leadership in the state. I just don't see that happening, folks. I would be really surprised.
Sure.